Hey, this is Stephanie.
And I'm Nina.
And you're listening to Live by the Spirit podcast.
Hi. And welcome back to... I'm sorry.
To Chad and Josiah's podcast where we talk about it's a takeover.
I was about to say this one's going to be way less chaotic than the last.
Absolutely not.
No, just as chaotic of an intro. Oh my gosh. Well, this week is furthering our discussion about community because there was just so much good flow. Yes. We wanted to keep it up. Yeah. So here we go. Let's get into it.
Have any of you been a part of a community that has actually brought you away from the Lord for a season, or has pulled you away from really diving into the Word?
Yes.
I was about to say, me too.
Yeah, definitely.
Me too. Like church community or just community in general?
Community in general.
Oh man, I mean, it's so hard because I love all my college friends. Jonah, who's Nina's brother, is about to move down here soon, or literally like tomorrow. But I will say that God was not our main focus in college. Mm-hmm. We had a lot going on. I was still recovering from losing my mom. Like, if I'm being honest, that was a wound that really didn't start healing until until I started going to Eastgate. And so that just wasn't our main focus. And so I didn't feel comfortable, at least with the guys, having conversations about God. It was more so if I was having a hard time with somebody, it was gossiping. I was just talking badly about others. And it's just crazy that Jonah and I saw each other through that. And then I feel like with COVID happening, for a lot of people that's changed. And I can now talk with those people in a different way, which is, I'm happy that the Lord has brought that to us. And even just, I remember going through COVID and Jonah and I would always talk on Tuesdays. And just kind of like, well, what has the Lord brought up to you this past week? And it's just like, I've never had conversations with you like this before. This is so interesting, my friend. But I feel like when you're in communities like that, it can be so draining. And it's just, when it's filled with gossip and toxicity, it's like, it makes you, I don't know, it just encourages you not to do it. And then, for me, it was like, that's when I started drinking, and that's when I started going out and doing things I shouldn't have. I think we've all can relate on that, with temptation, because you are what you're around. I think my biggest thing was not using great language. And it comes out, Nina probably hears it more than anybody, but it's something that I've definitely worked on, because I need to be careful with my tongue. Particularly if we're at the park with the church group and I say something that's not great in front of somebody who's, doesn't go to our church. I don't want them to have that perception. I think with us, we're such good friends. If I accidentally slip up, it's like, you guys know I don't mean out of, all that, but it's still. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's, and man, I know I'm talking a lot, but the Lord really brought this up to me recently, when I was getting bullied in high school. I would pray so hard for a good group of friends that loved me and wanted to hang out with me, and I wasn't the one planning everything and all this stuff. And I felt like the Lord was answering that through the time. But the Lord really told me a few weeks ago, it's like, this is what you prayed for. It took 10 years.
Nice.
Took 10 years. But it was like, this was worth the wait because of how great of friends we are. And it's like, this is what I understand of, even if we all end up moving away from each other, we'll all always be connected in this season. Yeah. Particularly the four of us are in a period of singleness. And it's just like, this is really the time where we're growing closer with God. And because at some point we won't be in that. And so hard. It's so good right now that we're building that foundation with each other in that. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For me, of course, I did a lot of jumping around, going to colleges and things like that. And of course, I went to a private Methodist college in undergrad, and I did have a community there.
I think we all went to some sort of a Christian university, because Josiah and I went to Nazarene, or you're still going to Nazarene. Yeah. You went to, was it Catholic? And then
that's the most secular place I've ever been in.
I think my first year. I had friends and stuff like that in undergrad, but, we weren't really, we were more worried about playing video games and having a fun time like that. Yeah. Thankfully, I was able to, avoid drinking and things like that, because I was pretty convicted never to ever get involved with that as far as my faith is concerned, because I saw how people would kind of lose themselves and make very poor choices, and that just fueled me even more not to do that type of stuff. But I got involved in other things. I started cursing very heavily with the video game culture. And that's where a lot of my I fueled a lot of my competitiveness in that, playing games, because I got very good at playing games, and I was very competitive and did not like losing and would blame other people. But eventually I did find a good community of guys at the undergrad I went to. Now, I think the most separated I've ever felt was when I went to my first graduate school, because it was, secular liberal arts college. And I was in the theater community. And of course, in the theater community, there's a lot of things that are of the world. Yep. Let's just put it that way. I even saw a friend. He wasn't a close friend, but I saw he was a Christian the first year that I was attending, and then the second year he was no longer a Christian, and he was participating in worldly things and changed his orientation as well. So I saw that, and I was I had to of course be a part of that community for a couple of years, but I probably was probably more separated from God during that point in my life than any other. Just because of that. And thankfully, I think I've always had faith. I've always, even though I wasn't spending time with God or anything like that, I always clung onto that faith and never straying from it. So thankfully I survived that and never lost my faith, even though I wasn't living like I was supposed to. So I was happy to, go to, right after those 2 years, I went to Regent University, which of course is Pat Robertson's school, who just passed away, and had a great community there of believers. And even though, we were more focused on acting, we did spend time with the Lord together and things like that. So I think that was a good rebound after those 2 years of really being separated.
Yeah. What about you, Josiah?
Sure. I mean...
Were you just always holy?
Yeah. From birth, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the first college I actually went to was a big state school. So just... And honestly, there's like this weird balance of being like in Christian communities and not in Christian communities, because on one hand, like if you're not in a Christian community, you can it's a huge opportunity to be a leader, and it can build your faith even more. And so I think a lot of that happened where it's like you're the one who is outspoken and people kind of expect that of you. And so you kind of get held to a Christian standard from like the opposite side. That can be really dangerous. And I think that, like celebrity pastors go through that, and maybe some of their downfall comes from that as well. But on like a tinier scale, you go to a place where, I probably met a handful of Christians, maybe out of like thousands of people. And it really challenges you. And so it's hard to tell if it brought me away or closer to Christ. I think it just built up different sides of my faith. But it's like people not looking, like not knowing how to communicate spiritual things to you. You don't learn as much. And so I think that kind of decreased. But you do like have to implement more, and you have to be stronger. And so it like helps show that foundation a little bit more. And so I wouldn't say that like it didn't wreck my faith, but anyway, but it wasn't like people were building up my faith. And so your
cup wasn't getting overflowed.
Yeah. And so yeah, it's true. And which it felt super draining all the time, because I was like, man, I love pouring out.
See my cup metaphor?
It's real.
It's real.
It's good.
That's from the Bible.
Yeah, I know. But, well, I think also...
Psalm 23. My cup overflows.
Yes. Anyway, I think those situations are really good. I feel like are really good because that's what the Lord challenges us. But I can think of when I was in high school, I was not nearly, or when I was graduating high school, I was not nearly where I needed to be in a community like that. I needed to be around believers, and that's why I liked all of it, was because every class started with a prayer. Even though God wasn't my top focus, it was still around me. And so that was nice. Like if I went to a state school, I honestly do not know where I would be right now. So how did you ever have a community like that, Nina?
Like what?
Like that was leading you away?
I feel like that was more high school for me because even though I did go to a school that most secular place I feel like I've ever been, like they call it a Catholic university, it was not. It was terrible. Like in the way that they taught their Christianity classes, I'm like,
did you guys have
all
open
right.
dorms?
Girl, they stayed in the same building. Guys and girls slept in the same building.
Oh, we had open dorms.
Yeah, no, they did not care.
Give your ID.
Different floors, but same building. They didn't care.
It was a whole thing.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, that was similar to us.
Like they did not care.
We would like as girls. I remember freshman year, we'd go down to like the RA like room and see like what guys were in to see if our friends like guy that they had a crush on was there with them. Be like, oh my gosh, he's here.
I literally could walk in there if I wanted to. Like me, who doesn't even go to the school, could walk into the dorm.
We had the 3-foot rule. I'll never forget. Jonah and I were sitting on the same bed one time, like sitting on a bed, and I'm a short girl. My feet don't touch the ground.
They were sitting on the bed.
Anyways, there was like 5 of us on this bed. There was like 5 of us sitting on this bed. It wasn't just him and I. But my RA came in, and Jonah was friends with my RA, and she was like, Trank. It's like, Trank, where's one of the foots on the ground? But yeah, that was the rule. We had to keep 3 feet on the ground.
One of the foots.
3.
You had to keep 3 feet on the ground.
One of the feet.
So I sat on the floor. Anyways, sorry, we got off track.
Yeah, in college.
We'll never forget the 3-foot rule.
The 3-foot rule.
Weird rule.
It is really weird. I was very blessed in college to have a Christian community because I really needed it at the time, and I met some of the best people that I know that really did build up my faith in ways that I didn't think I needed it to build. In kind of like Josiah, like you were saying, like being a part of other communities where they know that you are the Christian in that community. I was in student government, and I was the only like Christian on student government, and they kind of expected me to advocate for things that like other people wouldn't because of who I am. But then also at the same time, they're like, let's go to the bar. And I'm like, I want these people to like me. So I'm like,
Josiah and I would have gotten kicked out of college if we got caught doing that.
Well, the thing is, they put a bar on our campus. So like, we could go over to our hockey rink and go to the bar. So we would go and do things like that. And it's like, you know, is that helpful for me? Like Paul says, all things are permissible, but not all things are helpful. Yeah. So it's like, is like, yes, I can do this, but is it physically helpful for me to do that? So that's why I'm grateful to have had that community who would keep me in check with those things. Like, even though I was hanging out with this secular group of people, they would keep me in check when it came to that, because they knew, like, you know, if you're surrounded by those people, that's what you do. Like, you are who you are with. And so I think that, yeah. It was a hard time, but I think it was really faith building at the same time. But more in high school, it was crazy.
I think, we've all been through toxic relationships in any form. Yeah. They're not fun.
Yeah.
But
one thing that I think on, like, people that can bring you away from your faith and the community that you surround yourself with not being good, 2 Thessalonians 3, 6 through 15 is fantastic, and I don't really want to read the whole thing, but you can go ahead and read it, but because I don't really want to be reading for a minute and a half straight again. But basically at the end, it says, if anyone does not obey what we say in this letter, take note of that person and have nothing to do with him. So it's like, you know, in all of what he's talking about, like, you know, serving the Lord, doing this, this, and this. If this person is not doing what the Lord is calling us to do, then I, like, have nothing to do with them. So it's like, I think it's good to take into note, like, who we surround ourselves with. If they're not building us up in our faith, we should not have that close community with them. Yes, we still need to be, you know, loving them, and, you know, but we need to make sure that we are not really that close in community with them, so where it's affecting our faith.
Yeah, I think that's something that the Lord's really opened my eyes of the last year is being careful with that. And I mean, again, we're all single here, so it's just like looking for that in the next relationship. It's like I need to be on an even playing field. I can't like I've dated guys in the past that say they're Christian.
We can't fix them.
We can't fix them. I know we want to, but we can't. Well, it's just like I've seen so many relationships fail where it's like someone's not a Christian going into it. Yeah. It's like, he said he'll start coming to church because I'm going to church. I'm like, if that's the reason he's going to church, that's not really a good reason. You may be the seed that needs to be planted in his life for him to start it, but ultimately that's his decision to have a relationship with God. It's not about going to church every Sunday. It's about, is he in his free time opening his Bible, reading the Word? We have a friend, I'm not going to name names, but we were talking to this person recently, and she was saying how someone that she had dated in the past randomly would start posting things that he was reading his Bible on his Instagram story, and like how she knew that it was fake because it was like he never and I get it. It's like if you read something really good in the Bible and the Lord opens something in your head, you want to share that with people. But it's like if you're doing that every time you open your Bible, to me that's more so you're doing it to get the attention of people rather than getting the attention of Lord.
Sure. Me, as I posted on my story earlier.
But that's different. You don't do it every single time, no. Nina. There was a time where I used to do it every single time. I was like so proud of myself. Wow, I had my little Devo time today, like in college when I would do it like every couple weeks. It's like, wow, I did my Devo time today. Look what I did. And that's just like shouldn't be the center focus. And so I think in friendships too, that's important. And it sucks because it's like they're so like I have such good people in my life, but that just isn't their center focus. And it's like now, and I'm sure a lot of us can agree, now that we've got, the more you get close with God, the more you want to be around the Spirit more. And it's like that's being around Spirit-filled people. So
I had a verse for that. Do not be unequally yoked for non-believers.
You love that verse. Well, it's true.
I know, but I was saying you love that verse. You quote that verse a lot.
I've never quoted that on the podcast, except in the relationships episode, probably. Because when we look for those relationships that we need to be in, not even specifically like romantic relationships, but like we cannot like, but obviously we were just talking about romantic relationships when you said that, but like you can't just like date a non-Christian because how, like you said, we need to be on an even playing field. How are we supposed to build each other up if you're dating somebody who doesn't believe in the same things you believe in? So it's like we need to be equally yoked. We need to be with those people who are going to build us up.
Well, it's just like that verse, I don't remember where it's quoted, where it's like to become one. When you get married, it's like, how can you do that if one of you is not?
You can't.
Like that's the whole purpose that God created Eve, was so man wouldn't be alone, so that way they could worship God together. It's just like, I think about how strong my relationship with God is now, and then obviously when I get to that next step, it's going to be like even double so, and that's so exciting. But it's important during these times right now to really hone in that, and that's why it's so awesome that we have such a good group of single people around us too. We're all going through the same thing together. So, you know, that's why I appreciate our community strong, but it's also, no matter what, it's important to have our own individual relationship with God. And it's nice. I'm finally in a friend group that understands the importance of that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because it's like, again, in college, we would go to church on Sundays, and then we'd go to chapel, because we had to go to chapel. But it's like, other than that, it's not like I had Bible studies with these people or like ask them what they were reading in the Word or stuff like that. And I think that's what's so cool about us. It's just like, what has God shown you lately? What is he doing in your life right now? And all that.
Yeah. And it also like, it keeps a community interesting, I feel like, because God is speaking to each of us uniquely. And sometimes it's like God wants to speak to you in a way and me in a way. And then when we kind of talk about how we both viewed God, it's like now we build a better perspective of God because the way each of us were able to perceive him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really fun when the Lord's telling me something and I share it, and then someone's like, he was telling me that too. And it's just like there's like these themes I feel like that have been going on lately for all of us. And it's nice knowing that when I'm having my own individual time with God, that other people are getting what I'm talking about too. And it's just, oh man, that makes me happy.
Yeah, it's like we were talking about a little bit last night is when we were talking about I saw this. It's like I saw this too in like a dream, and it's like I was feeling this right after I had this conversation, and you're like you're like right on the same page with this person. I've had we've had that several times at Kaya where somebody speaks a prophetic word, and I'm like, that's been spoken over me a couple of times in the past a month or two. The confirmation, because you're always looking for 2 or 3 confirmations on this, according to Scripture. So it's like, okay, I can rely on this person because God is definitely speaking through them, and that's for me personally, that's how I usually that's how I hear God, is other people, prophetic words coming through other people. And I'm praying for a job right now that He wants me to have. And Cam spoke a couple of weeks ago about that situation at Kaya, and it was like very encouraging.
Jeez, yeah.
Man, I think it's also important in community that in our community at least, that we have people that we can go to for questions, because obviously right now we're all, even though we're all kind of different ages, we're all on the same level spiritually, I feel like, or around the same level spiritually. So if Nina has a question about something she read in the Bible and she comes to me about it, I may not have the answer, but it's so cool that we have people in the church that are a little bit higher up, like Jason and Brittany, who I know, Chad, they're around the same age as you, but they're obviously 2 of our pastors. So it's like going and asking them their thoughts on this, or just going to our pastors like Chris and Laura, or going to our elders. I know for me, it's nice having my dad. That's why I love that we have the End Times group. It's just like, because we could read through Matthew 24 or Revelations. So I'll say, I don't know why I was about Revelations, but it's just like, it's nice having people who've studied this to go to be like, I have a question about this. I've been reading this. I'm not sure about this. Because we could confuse each other if we go and ask questions with each other. And so, and then whenever this, next group, when we start to get that knowledge more, it's going to be nice that we can help other people in that regard too. So I think that's very important to have in community too, is like almost like kind of parental friends. Like I feel like Georgie and Donovan can be like that too now as well.
I think that one thing that you both were kind of talking about, it's cool because within our group, like, I feel like we all, obviously everybody has different spiritual gifts. And I believe that, that is obviously so important in a community, that we're able to speak into each other's lives, but we all do it. We all hear from the Lord in different ways. And like, it's kind of like we say, like within the church, we all have a different job, but all together it's cohesive and it all fits together. And I think the same thing of our community, like we all bring so much spiritually differently, but together it's like, look at the work that we do together and the building up that we do of each other together. It's like it works so well. We are one body, but we are all different members within the body.
No, and I think it's cool that I've been seeing people's spiritual gifts grow, because I feel like when I was younger, my spiritual gifts were really, really strong, because I grew up in the church and it was like that was around the people I was around. But obviously going through the things I went through, I lost a lot of that. So it's just like me getting the visions the Lord's given me seeing angels again, me being me being able to speak in tongues again. You may need to edit that out. I'm sorry, but me being able to speak in tongues again, that was a big deal. I haven't been able to do that since I was 15. So it's just like things like that, and it's just kind of it's nice because I get to celebrate that with people, and like seeing Nina's gifts grow more, and just anybody's gifts. It's nice because I feel like we're on the right track. So yeah,
I'm over here like she was talking about me.
Yeah. But it's also encouraging because that when new people come, it's like, how can we help them grow more in their spiritual gifts too? And or help them even figure out what their spiritual gifts are, because I feel like sometimes that can be hard. And that's why I like Thrive really kind of helps go into depth about what it can be, different areas that you could serve in. It's like, it's crazy. I studied marketing in school, and that's literally what I do to help the church. So and it's like I prefer helping the church out, just serving for free, than I do my job sometimes. But it's just like God uses not just our spiritual gifts, but also sometimes our worldly gifts to be service. And I just think it's crazy. Our church could literally not function if our core group wasn't there.
Yeah.
Like we have to come back from our beach trip on Saturday because church probably could not function without us. Like literally, that's why we're coming back on Saturday. Isn't that crazy? It's cool though.
It's really cool that we provide that.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I mean that's like, I feel like that's the way church should be done, because it's like we each have our spiritual gifts that like make our community work. Like we're all so different, but it's like if we were the same, we all have the same spiritual gifts, we could build each other up in those for sure, but it would be pretty dry, I feel like. And so having that like weird culmination of people who probably wouldn't hang out but are united because of like simply because of Christ, it makes our friend group interesting and like church interesting. So when it's like, our core group is what runs the church, it's like, well, because they are the church.
That is crazy. I never thought about that. Like, would we hang out with each other if we did not go to the same church?
I'd hang out with Chad, but that's probably it.
Just kidding. Wow.
Yeah.
We probably wouldn't know you.
We probably would.
Yeah.
You'd probably still be out in Colorado.
That's true.
Snowboarding.
Yeah.
No, he might be here, but if we didn't all go to church.
Yeah.
It's like we would have a very small connection with you through, Joe.
Yeah.
But
that'd be it.
No, but if we didn't go to church together, how would you know Joe?
Well, okay, if you're just talking about, I didn't know if you were just talking about Joe.
I was just saying that our friend group is so interesting because, like Josiah was saying, we are so different. Yeah. It's just like that. I can think of I genuinely, if I didn't have God and we didn't have that in common, like it may have been harder for all of us to become friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's cool because God is our center focus, which God should be our first focus in life. And it makes things like going to church conferences or different things so much more fun. Like I remember we went to John Ramirez. Is that right?
Yeah.
We went to that one Friday night, and then Jude, Nick, and I went to the class he did the next day, and I was talking to some woman behind me, and did not even introduce myself. We just started talking about God, but we talked about like this revival for like 3 hours or something, like just like nonstop, and it was just like, or then just like believers coming up and just saying, how good is God? Like, I'm like, yeah, God's so good. And just like talking, and I'm like, I will never talk to you ever again, but there's something just about the Spirit of the Lord just like connecting you. Man, it's just like, it sucks that I just can't, like, it's weird to go in the grocery store and go up to someone randomly, just like, God's just so good. I should do that, but it's like, you don't know what kind of response you're going to get. In that situation, it's like, you're going to get a pretty good response.
Yeah.
But yeah. Dang. Well, does anyone have anything else they'd like to share?
I mean, everything you were just saying just goes into 1 Corinthians 12. That everybody has, a different part to play.
Yeah.
Whether you're the hand, you're the foot, you're the eye.
Yeah.
And everybody can go read to that. Most people are very familiar with this collection of verses, but like where it says in 15, the foot should say, "Because I am not a hand, I am not of the body. Is it therefore not of the body? And if the ear should say, because I am not an eye, am I not part of the body? Is it therefore not of the body?" And it goes on like that. Yeah. So you're like, don't question yourself if you have a different gift from everyone else, right? Yeah. That's so funny, isn't it, Nina?
Nina's cry laughing over here. Are you okay?
It was both of them.
Just have a deep breath.
Josiah starts drinking his empty water cup, and then Chad goes into this dramatic reading, and I'm like, I can't catch a break.
Oh my
He's like,
gosh.
It's like there's nothing in there.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we're almost wrapped up, but I do want to know, what is everyone's favorite memory with this friend group?
I thought you were going to say member of the community. I was like, whoa.
We obviously don't have favorites. No, but we're on part 2 probably by now. So I'm just trying to fill some more time. But does anyone have any favorite memories? I'm trying to think of mine.
Man.
Do I?
There's a lot of good ones.
I mean, like, I can think of things like playing sardines at church, and Nick hiding in the fridge.
I left at that point, so I missed that.
Awesome.
No.
Josiah was the one who found him.
That was so good.
Oh gosh.
Josiah opens the fridge as like a joke, and
in
then
there.
there's
And
just
then it's like you just have to stand there just by the fridge.
And I was like, I can't get in there with you, man.
oh man.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like there's so many good ones, but probably just a culmination of like our game nights, like between running charades and like hostage and stuff. Just
We're fun people.
yeah.
Well, it's like we're all.
Yeah.
Yeah, we are fun people.
It's crazy, and maybe some people listening can relate to this. When you are like in your 20s or 30s and you don't go to bars or like party, it's like, what else are you supposed to do with your friends? So I keep joking, I still feel like I'm in college, because that's literally what I used to do in college, was play sardines and play hostage. But no, it's like we find ways to entertain ourselves. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that's been hilarious. I mean,
I got one.
you got one? Oh gosh.
My favorite memory with the group. Chad, you were not there.
Sorry.
Wow,
Sorry, Chad.
that's rude.
It was my favorite because Chad wasn't there.
Ooh.
I'm just kidding.
We're kicking off our podcast.
Your podcast. We played Fishbowl, but with a 4th round. Sounds.
Oh, I knew she was gonna bring that up. That was one of the first times Josiah hung out with
Yeah,
us.
It
that
was
was
so
good.
funny because we had to make the sound and then guess the
I
prompt.
hated it.
And Chad, I'm gonna show you videos.
It was
So
bad.
It is so
It
so
was
good.
funny.
I just. Oh, sorry.
Girl, this is my memory.
Oh wow. Well, technically, it's all of our memories.
Thank you. That's a real friend right there.
No, but you were interrupting. But it was just really funny because we had never really hung out with Josiah before. So then to see his personality in doing that was so funny. And then Joe nailed it every time.
Joe was the best.
Every time. And then we all just sucked. But Joe was great.
I needed it. No, I will say Josiah and I became friends. So we just talked about this yesterday because I had Aglet, so I started humming the song Aglet from Phineas and Ferb, and that is how Josiah and I connected, because Josiah's the only one who understands Phineas and Ferb.
So good.
Yeah,
That's
that
awesome.
that might have been one of my favorites. Was
That was
that
funny.
night? It was really funny.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
I think of just like even times where we just like randomly start praying. It's like you guys weren't there, sadly, but Jude's birthday a couple years ago, we were supposed to watch Lord of the Rings, and we ended up getting to a prayer session for like 2-3 hours.
That was good.
Wow.
And it was just like, that was the first time I'm like, wow, this is a really good godly community.
Something's different.
I made a TikTok off of that.
You did make a TikTok.
You really?
Off of
I
that.
did.
He did make a TikTok off of
That's
that.
awesome.
It was really good. It was really good.
I don't do the TikTok.
I rarely do a TikTok, but I was in that kind of zone.
Yeah.
I would post a few every week. And
My favorite is your Hunger Games one. That one
What?
killed me.
Oh,
It was
I'll
before
show
you
it to
started
you.
coming around.
Okay.
We watched Hunger Games. It was my very
Oh,
first
that's
movie
right.
night.
I was
I
trying to
would do
remember
the
what that
list.
was.
My very first movie night that I ever went to was when we
Yes.
started watching
Wasn't
all
it
the
about
Hunger Games
PETA?
movies. And he
Yeah.
he made them based on PETA.
Peter's the
Like
best.
what to do when you like a girl.
Why are you
Yeah, it's
shaking
like it-
your head?
It's like what? It's
Peter's
like
the
advice on how to
Get the girl.
Get the girl.
Oh,
From
Based
PETA.
on PETA.
Throw water
He's the
in,
worst.
throw bread into the pouring rain.
the
So-
worst character.
What? You preferred Gale over PETA?
Prefer every other character.
What? Josiah. You
I'm
preferred.
so glad you weren't there when we watched that.
I am shocked.
I know.
You
That's what
preferred
I'm saying.
Gale. You wanted her to end up with that crazy dude.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yes.
He's
No.
kind of hot.
Hey.
that has nothing
he's
to
a
do with
CC.
it. Oh my gosh. Wow, we're gonna have to agree to disagree on that.
Yeah, it's okay.
No, I also you weren't there for Dollywood. I wish we would have known you more. You could have come to Dollywood with us. We went to Dollywood. That was so much fun. It was kind of nice getting out of our bubble and doing something different. That's why I
Yeah.
think the trip's gonna be fun. Because I think sometimes we can get so comfortable in our bubble of just playing games and watching movies that it's gonna be nice to just do other things with each other.
Yeah.
Although I feel like when we just watched the movie the other night, it was the first time we did that in a really long time.
That was so nice. I miss. We played too many games.
No, we hadn't even really hung out that much.
That's true. Everyone's been gone. You
Yeah,
were gone
you
for
were gone
2
for,
weeks,
like,
Josiah.
forever. Forever.
Oh.
It literally felt you were gone for like a month.
I know, we missed you.
Oh, you guys are so sweet.
I texted you that. We
He
missed
didn't
you.
text
That's
us.
true. Yeah, I'm a terrible texter. Yeah.
Hey, no.
He texted me back.
That's true.
Good for you. Not, I
Did
don't
I
even
not
think
text
I
you? Oh,
texted.
I'm
I don't
sorry.
even think I texted you.
Wow. But
You didn't respond in the group when we
Yeah.
sent you pictures
he
of our
said he
food.
had FOMO.
When we sent the pictures of our uneaten food that we wanted you to eat at
Oh,
lunch.
yeah.
We're like, who's gonna
That
eat
was
it?
funny.
Did you
Going
see
back
that?
and reading those, that was really funny.
To the viewers who don't know, Josiah is our garbage disposal when we
Yes.
go out to eat.
It's true.
It's
So
true.
good.
My
Yeah.
my birthday, her and I ordered this big pizza. You had something like
It's a great pizza, yeah.
yeah, you had something, and we were just like, we don't want to carry this around the rest of the
He
night.
quite literally ate an entire pizza.
We ate at least a couple slices of
Yeah,
that
you guys
pizza.
didn't
but
eat very much, though. It was,
that was fun.
Well,
was so
altogether,
good.
we had one pizza left. We should have just
yes,
combined.
Oh,
we
one
should have
yeah.
just got one, but it's what it is.
no, I'm glad. Yeah, it worked
Yeah.
out.
He was
For
glad.
me.
Chad, do you have a favorite?
I guess it would probably have to be the Dollywood trip.
Josiah, you're there in spirit.
Yeah,
Next time we go,
yeah.
we want to go again soon. So
But I guess between us four, when we went to the drive-in, was really fun.
Oh, that was
oh,
good.
that
Yeah.
literally just happened.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it literally just
About
happened,
that.
but it was good because it was, it was like only a handful of people,
Mm-hmm.
and me and you got to ride together for at least
Yeah, that was
over
awesome.
an hour there and back, and just got to talk,
Yeah.
like because we don't get to talk like one-on-one all the time, so
Yeah.
it was really good to get to know you even better.
Yeah.
And then of course we had a long driving going up to Dollywood.
Yeah, we had fun.
So
We
and
were the
it's-
musical car.
Yeah, and it's good to have people because in the past there's been some people that have been more theater minded at the church and have been wanting to do acting and things like that. But now it feels like just me, as far as people that want to perform. But it's still good to have people that know theater and like to talk about theater.
I can tap dance in the next play.
Okay.
Ooh.
I would too.
Okay.
I no.
It's like no
I can't
thanks.
tap
We
dance.
can teach you how to do a ball change.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Teach me what that means first.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
I'm texting my mom right now to bring me my tap shoes.
I hope my tap shoes are in my closet right now. Yeah.
I don't
don't own
have
any?
tap shoes.
Last time I had tap shoes was like in 5th grade.
I was in advanced tap. I remember I did a tap dance with like the high school girls one time when I was in elementary school. That's how good I was. Not to brag.
Dang.
Dang. What?
Do you have a favorite?
Favorite memory? I mean, I said a couple. I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
Did you say one?
Yeah.
Preds games were always fun. A few of us would go to Preds game. We need to do that this year. I feel like if anything, I'm just coming up with more ideas for us to do in the future. Like I'm excited for us to go see Wicked.
Yeah.
In
that was
October.
Oh my
good.
That's
gosh,
gonna be
I'm
fun.
so excited.
We got Josiah in to come see a musical with us
Somehow. Yeah.
somehow.
And somehow they got the seats right next to us. Literally, Chad and Josiah have the seats literally right next to me and Steph.
Yeah.
And we bought it definitely like a week
A week later.
later, so it was good.
I'm excited.
I will say I do enjoy the memory of Nina walking to my apartment having no idea that Jude and Nick were going to be here. That will be a face I'll never forget.
July 10th.
Oh, she hasn't. This girl's good with dates.
Yeah. What?
I'm like, wow, she knew exactly when I got fired too.
July 11th was the first time I went to Frisbee.
Look at her go.
It's the next day.
Yeah, I will say I enjoyed my birthday this year. That was fun because it was the first time I really felt like I had I mean, my birthday the year before was fine, but it was on a Kaya night, so it was just like we were all gonna hang out anyways. And then it was just like we have so many birthdays that are around the same time, and now Rod and I share a birthday, which is gonna be great. We'll find a way to make
Steph's
that work.
like, oh my gosh, my birthday.
I have to share
It's
my
been confiscated.
birthday. But something I love about birthdays in Nashville, birthdays I love in our friend group. My brain tonight is not working.
Nashville knows how to party.
Nashville knows how to party. Is that we do affirmation time.
Oh yeah, that was fun.
I didn't get that.
Yeah,
Well, I think it was the first time.
We hadn't
one
done
of
it.
the first times
We
did
hadn't
it.
done it in a
Genesis told me it was because nobody knew me.
probably that, but we hadn't done it in a while.
Perhaps, yes.
Well, no, but we hadn't done it in a while. We had a couple birthdays that we hadn't. We didn't do it for Georgie's birthday.
Oh.
We didn't do it for Jude's birthday. Like it was just something that we forgot to do. And I remember mentioning it. I was like, I would appreciate that because I'm going through a rocky time, and I would like some words filled. And everyone said just such nice things. And
You all were so nice.
you all were so nice. Like it just that was confirmation for me. And
I
then
feel like I'm drinking strawberry milk. It's kind of gross.
Okay.
Nice segue.
wow, I'm just talking about how everyone was so nice to me on my birthday. And
To our next
that
section.
and that. So, but no, those are moments I've always hold close to me is when people have poured into to me like that, and yeah. So thank you all for that.
Yeah.
And then we went out to a very nice dinner the next day.
Community.
So,
Yeah.
but I think does anyone else have anything else to share?
Man, I'd like to wrap up the thought of it. It's cool that you say that because it's like we celebrate things together and we like are sad about things together, and like the body metaphor and the cup metaphor kind of like in my brain combined when you think of like a blood vessel, and it's like if we're all just like a little section of a blood vessel, you like pass along blood, and if you choose not to pass along blood, you're like making a little blood clot in the body, and it's like the rest of the body notices, but when you choose to be like, okay, I'm gonna pour myself out knowing that someone behind me is pouring in, and it's like it just creates for a fun time when you get to like celebrate things and get over like hard things, and just knowing that you can freely like talk and communicate just builds an awesome place to be as a human.
I did not know where you were going at first with that.
That's a powerful image, man. Because when you have your blood constricted, you're gonna feel weakness in that particular limb or something like that, and when you're dealing with stress, sometimes that can happen. Like one part of your body feels weak, and it's like, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then eventually, it leaves.
Yeah, and you feel good and full again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we have a very good time of knowing when we're having fun, but then when something needs to be serious. And I feel like that's something that I hadn't had in the past with friendships was like we'd be hanging out and then something would happen, or something happened earlier that day and I came to hang out and people just didn't want to acknowledge it. And we're very good about, no, something happened today or something just happened. We need to stop what we're doing, pray about it. And that's something that I just love.
Yeah.
My door makes that sound sometimes, I know. Sometimes at night I think people are breaking in. I think somebody is breaking
Comforting.
What's inside your door?
in. I know.
Well, anyways, thanks for coming on, y'all. That was great.
Just gave us
Yeah, thanks for having us, man.
Oh yeah, anytime.
You're welcome. Thanks for taking over, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That just gave us a lot of content. Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank
No.
you. Yeah. Yeah.
Even though I thought my computer literally
Blew up.
deleted everything.
Yeah,
I was
no.
very
Every
upset.
week, it's fine.
And no, Steph,
Move
you
on
don't
to our next
understand.
thing right now.
The whole computer shut down. I didn't save it.
Oh gosh. Well, we figured it out. Anyways,
It's good.
thanks for watching
Listening.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening.
And we'll make sure to tune in next week. I don't know what we're talking about next week, but it'll be good. Yay!
Peace
Bye.
and blessings, y'all.
Wee.